afternoon. How are you doing?
A Prime Minister in war times trying to meet the moment and putting his navy on alert.
And we're going to need you out there doing a lot of stuff as fast as possible.
Camel Laird shipyard in Merseyside, a base that's been building military ships for hundreds of years.
If I just push this forward, nothing will happen.
Nothing will happen.
Nothing will happen on board here, perhaps, but grave warnings from this Prime Minister about what could happen next in Ukraine. As Russian officials today continue to dismiss military attacks on civilians. Lavrov said concerns over civilian casualties were, to quote him, pathetic shrieks.
But I'm afraid that is just where they are, and that is what we're dealing with. And I'll make you one other prediction, by the way, which is that the stuff that you're hearing about chemical weapons, this is straight out of their playbook. They start saying that there are chemical weapons that have been stored by their opponents or by the Americans, and so when they themselves deploy chemical weapons, as I fear they may, they have a sort of a Maskirovka, a fake story ready to go.
The use of chemical weapons by the Syrian government, backed at the time by the Kremlin, devastated so many. But sadly, too, it became a powerful tool in the armoury of an aggressor.
I do share the Prime Minister's concerns in this area. It is very similar to what we've seen in Syria, and that is why I think we're all concerned of these irregular weapons. We've seen the vacuum bombs, the thermobaric bombs being used to devastating effect. And now we're hoping that we won't see chemical weapons, but they've been so successful in Syria. It's hard to see that Putin wouldn't do it.
2 weeks into the invasion of Ukraine, and this Prime Minister's not convinced there's much chance of de-escalation when it comes to President Putin. You can't see a way out at the moment.
I can't see a way out that doesn't begin with the realization by the Kremlin that they made a catastrophic mistake. I think that Vladimir Putin has himself made it very difficult to find an off-ramp. And he has, I think, driven his tanks, so to speak, down a cul-de-sac from which it will be very hard to extricate himself.
This week, the Ukrainian president told Sky News the West was indecisive, refusing to shut Ukrainian skies, ruling out implementing a no-fly zone. Is it not on your conscience every time you speak to President Zelensky and he asks you for that no-fly zone? I've
got to say, it's absolutely terrible. It's absolutely agonizing. And I've had this conversation at least a couple of times now with Volodymyr. But I think the difficulty is that it would require me to order RAF jets, UK pilots, into the air with a mission to shoot down Russian fast jets. And that is something that all my life, literally all my life, all my childhood, I remember something that we did everything we possibly could to avert. We've had some very frank conversations, and ones in which have been deeply upsetting.
Frank conversations only likely to get more difficult. These moments now are without precedence and with no end in sight. Beth, Rigby, Sky News.